Why don't you do more updates about Malaysia?
I would love to be able to talk about something substantive in terms of policies or initiatives of the Anwar Ibrahim government in Malaysia, but there's just nothing really to critique. I mean, Anwar was waiting for decades to become the Prime Minister of Malaysia, and then after winning the seat, Malaysia is still waiting for him to become a Prime Minister. Meanwhile, the problems are not waiting. The ringgit is steadily drifting downwards. It was around 4.4 ringgits to the dollar when Anwar was elected, and it's now closer to 4.7. Where's it going to go? 4.8, 4.9, 5 ringgits to the dollar? That'll be devastating. And nothing is really being done about it. Now, Bank Negara raised interest rates, which means that people are paying on their loans and mortgages at a rate considerably higher than the national rate of inflation. Anwar wants to cut subsidies on the T20 income group, the higher income group, on everything from poultry to electricity. And he says that this will not negatively impact lower income Malaysians. But of course, that's not how economies work. If you raise costs for one segment of the economy, one segment of the population, that segment of the population that has the most disposable income, if you raise costs for them, then they're going to cut their expenses, they're going to cut their expenditures, which will then have a ripple effect through the entire economy in terms of prices, in terms of production, in terms of demand and consumption across the whole economy. And of course, many of these people in the T20 are themselves business owners. So when they either cut their expenses or raise their prices to compensate for the higher costs that they're grappling with, obviously that's going to affect everyone in the economy, including mostly low-income Malaysians. The government just doesn't look like it has any economic plan, frankly. I mean, they keep sort of falling back on IMF recommendations, the general IMF structural adjustment program, like with the cutting of subsidies. And of course, if they follow through, if they proceed on that path, it's going to be devastating for the Malaysian economy. I mean, when he was elected, Anwar had a manifesto. He came in with a manifesto. In fact, the combined manifestos of Pakatan Harapan and BN. But now nobody seems to be adhering to either one of those manifestos. I mean, think about it. If there had been a hung election last year and no government was formed and Malaysia had operated for the last 7 months without a government, I don't really see how anything would have been different. It's like the government is absent, as it is. And Anwar insisted on naming himself as the finance minister. So it's not like he can blame anyone else for failing to act on the economy. I mean, he's both prime minister and minister of finance. So the state of the economy is pretty much entirely his responsibility. I mean, when he was elected, Anwar asked civil servants to give him ideas about what to do to rescue the economy, and he gave them 2 weeks. It's been 7 months, and still no ideas have emerged. Now he's even asking journalists, or saying that journalists are also responsible for giving him ideas about governance. So, predictably, the opposition is likely to sweep upcoming state elections, which Anwar says signals political instability in Malaysia, which is causing hesitancy by foreign investors, that they don't feel confident in Malaysia because there's political instability and therefore they're not investing in the country. But I mean, both of these problems would have been solved or could be solved if you had a plan for the economy. Because if you have a plan and you can show foreign investors that you know what you're doing and you're managing the economy, then not only would they have confidence in you, but the opposition wouldn't have anything to use against you. So you wouldn't be looking at likely losses in the state elections if you were managing the economy well. And FDI would be flowing in because everyone would see that you're managing the economy well. So either way, it comes down to the problem, both the problem of facing losses in the upcoming state elections and the problem of foreign investors not having confidence in Malaysia. Both of these come down to the fact that Anwar just looks bewildered by the challenges of running a country. And instead of managing the economy or coming up with a plan and actually governing properly, he's busied himself with vendettas against political rivals, posturing, posing, photo ops, speeches, and, pretending to call Erdogan on the phone to boost his image as a world leader. Or else he's preaching about ethnic and religious hatred as if he lives in some Malaysia in a parallel universe that is being riven by racial hatred and strife and violence, which of course isn't happening. None of this is helping. None of this is addressing the real problems that Malaysia is facing.